Big names have been moved, and here are some veteran buyout candidates. Ryan, this is your area of expertise.
Yeah, Chris, I go to the state of Texas into the backcourt. 4 guys on my list, 2 with the Spurs, Goran Dragic, who will get bought out. I think he's the best player on the buyout market. Teams I'm told that are in the mix for Goran are going to be in the mix. The Milwaukee Bucks, the 2 teams from LA, the Clippers and Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, the Chicago Bulls, and believe it or not, the Miami Heat. And the reason he can go back to Miami is because they were not the last team that Dragic was on. The Toronto Raptors traded him to San Antonio. San Antonio was going to waive him. So because the Heat were not Goran's last team, he can then go back to Miami. So they're in the mix, but there's some competition. Obviously, these are contending teams. And then also looking at the Rockets, Dennis Schroeder and DJ Augustine, who Shams just pointed out was likely to be bought out as well. So, Smitty, there'll be a lot of point guards on the market, and I think a battle for those point guards among the contending teams, starting with Goran Dragic.
Yeah, I'm totally right. And if I'm just picking Goran Dragic, I say go back to the Miami Heat. They loved him there. That's just me. No insider, information. I just think he fits. I think it'll be a great fit for them. But it's like you said, if Dennis Schroeder is bought out, he'll be one I think everybody will be sought after, looking to get him.
Dennis Schroeder's on a 1-year deal, which means the Celtics do not have his bird rights, which made it difficult for them to pay him. So he was a guy that I anticipated getting moved. He was moved. I think, guys, now he may be on the buyout market. We'll talk about that later on today, now that the deadline is passed. He doesn't make a whole lot of sense on a young Rockets team, a guy that contending teams will be lining up to sign, I think, especially on a minimum contract, Smitty, after a buyout. For Boston, they get back Daniel Tice. He's played there before. Obviously, Brad Stevens, who slid up from the sideline to the front office, knows him very well. And the Celtics have loaded up. I like what they've done, bringing in Derek White, bringing in Daniel Tice. They got off to a slow start this year. They've really played a lot better since the calendar flipped from 2021 into 2022, especially on the defensive end. And they got 2 good rotational players, one in the backcourt in Derek White, and now another center to give them some depth on the front line in Daniel Tice.
Ryan, if Schroeder, per se, gets bought out, that might be the deal for the Lakers.
I think that's what the Lakers are going to have to bank on. The challenge, Smitty, is, as you know, when players get bought out, they usually want to go to championship contenders. Are the Lakers in the 9th spot in the Western Conference a championship contender?
You kind of slipped that in there. Let's go over that. Let's go over that one more time, because the question he's posing is, Dennis Schroeder, is he willing to go to the Lakers as a buyout candidate? Because are they a contending team? Another name, Goran Dragic, who is apparently going to be a buyout candidate, was traded from the Toronto Raptors. Those seem to be the 2 names, and obviously Goran lamented about his time in Miami, would love to go back there. What do you think about those 2 guys possibly for the Lakers?
Goran Dragic has been injured, so, I love him as a player, and obviously if he's healthy, he can bring a lot to the table, toughness, can shoot the basketball and play, but wanted to see him, and wherever he fits, it's a buyout situation, so it's not costing the team a lot. But Dennis Schroeder, like Ryan said, but I also think, he's totally right. But if you're Dennis Schroeder, and I'm getting bought out by the Houston Rockets, not sure where I might go, I might can get back with the Los Angeles Lakers, where I was having some success, and obviously get a chance to maybe play well enough and get them back on the roll, because he is a talented player. Not one of these guys where you're saying for sure they get back to championship level, but they will be better than what they've been if they can add Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, Schroeder's name on the buyout market. We'll see where Dragic ends up. A lot of the speculation around the league was if Dragic got bought out that he would end up in Dallas. Well, Dallas, now has Spencer Dinwiddie on their roster. They don't seemingly have a need for Dragic anymore with Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, and Dinwiddie. So those are the kind of names that will be on the buyout market. And that's what teams, especially teams that stood pat, the championship contenders, they'll be after those guys. I mean, if you're in a front office in a team like Milwaukee trying to repeat as a title contender, even Golden State, Phoenix, they'll be calling about those guys, because obviously when you're in that position and signing a player of the caliber of Dennis Schroeder, potentially Goran Dragic, one of those guys for a minimum rest of the season contract, Smitty, that's a no-brainer. From a front office perspective, you do it. It's a drop in the bucket financially. And to have a guy like that on your bench, whether he plays a lot or not, is just insurance in case you have injuries, especially in the playoffs.
So I'm trying to go over the list of look at this. Enes Freedom and Bruno Fernando also in the deal as well, heading to Houston. Too big. Well, Daniel Tice, you're going to get the opportunity to play.
Yep.
You got Time Lord and Daniel Tice. What that does, Smitty, as we
and
are
Al
getting
Horford.
Yeah, as we are getting this information and processing this, Al Horford, Daniel Tice, part of the Celtics when they were making a postseason run coming back. And Robert Williams also in that 2018 draft, by the way. A guy that's got into incredible shape and can get you a double-double on any given night. Now, that Celtics front line looks a lot better.
Much better. I mean, that was a question mark just watching them, and obviously they was going through a lot of things, at the beginning of the season. But the one thing that was glaring to me was, where was Robert Williams in his development? We saw a little bit, and obviously I think he's taken a big jump. But there was no depth, I think, in the front court. And now when you have Daniel Tice, he knows that system. He knows Boston. He knows Jason Tatum and also Jaylen Brown. I think this is perfect for them. And him and Al Horford are those gritty power forward / centers that can play both spots. And he's improved his shot along with Robert Williams. I like their front court. I like what they've done.